Hi everyone. So, what is Andrew Yang's next big test? Well, it would be the debates happening next week, where we have 10 of the top candidates all on one stage, all at one time for the very first time in this campaign. So, why does that pose quite a challenge for Andrew Yang? Well, firstly, whenever there's been major candidates on the stage, especially quite a few of them, Andrew Yang has not gotten much speaking time. So it's a matter of does having that many big personalities on the stage stretch out the speaking time? Would Warren, Sanders, Biden, Harris, will those four candidates get most of the speaking time, and will other candidates below that get a lot less speaking time? Because we know that the media agencies are after headlines, they're after candidates attacking each other to kind of just get some really, interesting, attacks on each other. Because for them, it's about trying to make things more interesting rather than trying to get in detail what policies are. Because let's be honest, there's not enough time for that. So it's more about trying to just get more headlines and trying to make things more interesting. In terms of, if we look at what happened in the last debates, first day we had Warren and Sanders kind of defending themselves against 8 other candidates who were just going on the offensive against them. On the second day of the second round of the debates, we had most of the candidates going after Biden, and a couple of them going after Harris. So when you don't have those other smaller candidates and you have all the big candidates, are we going to have a situation where they're going to try to pit Yang against all the other top candidates? Where they might, because they might ask Sanders, which they already have, what he thinks about the freedom dividend, and he's already expressed that he thinks it's a handout. And he kind of thinks it's not the best use of money, so he's going to go with that pathway, and then Andrew Yang is going to have to defend himself, and then who knows where that's going to lead, where they're going to have quite a battle, around that, or they're going to kind of contest that, the freedom dividend with the other top candidates, and end up, you could end up having 2-3 top candidates attacking Yang's freedom dividend, and just trying to attack its weaknesses and all that. And one thing for Yang is he doesn't want to really get into that nitty gritty of going on the attack and offensive. Not quite yet, because the one thing about trying to bring in an innovative policy is you want everyone to have an open mind and kind of accept the idea, read into the details of what you're trying to sell. So it's a matter of, is this the right moment that Andrew Yang feels a lot of people understand what a universal basic income is, and he can kind of just go all gun blazing against other candidates, and that's kind of where you get more ground. Because if you don't start exposing other candidates and going, I'm a better candidate than this candidate, then it's actually really difficult to get their support to try to, gain more ground. Like currently, Andrew Yang is building a lot of good ground because a lot of candidates have, just dropped out. Like Kirsten Gillibrand, who was the last one to drop out, she had some decent support. She had one poll that got over 2%. And she normally polls between that 1 or 2% range, so she does quite well. So when she dropped out, I imagine some of her support base actually went to Yang. But he can't just rely on trying to get the scraps all the time. Andrew Yang has to formulate a new kind of strategy where he goes, I'm trying to, get more territory, so I might have to go after the bigger candidates and trying to take more territory. If you imagine, like the mafia, and then this is like a turf war, like if you never go onto someone else's turf, you're not going to get more territory. And that's the same thing with all the candidates. So with Andrew Yang, if he never goes onto all the other top candidates' territories, he's not going to ever get more territory. They aren't all of a sudden going to change their whole idea of, all their thinkings, unless they, see another candidate challenge their candidate, and then they start to see, hey, that candidate is actually a better candidate because they went against the candidate I support, and I've kind of just come to a realization. And it also proves that, Andrew Yang is going to be a very capable person of being on that stage, because right now everyone's kind of assessing which candidate is going to go best, against Trump. And if you're going to stand up to Trump, well, you're going to have to do really well on this debate stage, not the fourth debate, because the fourth debate we know is going to be split into 2 days. At least one extra candidate's going to make it, and if we have 11, we know that's going to be split into 2 lots. It's only 10 where it's kind of put into one stage, which makes it a really awkward format. I would have gone for 2 days, 5 candidates on each stage, would have given everyone a lot of speaking time. But of course, they had to just pile everyone on one debate stage. But it is also really it's kind of going to prove who is the strongest candidate out of all 10, because they're on one stage, and it's a matter of who's going to stand out on that debate stage. So it's a question of, can Yang come out and stand out in terms of those big personalities, and I think if he can do that, if he can come out and stand out and really, I'm not saying he has to go into offensive, but he definitely has to find a way to stand out in that lot of 10. If you don't stand out in that lot of 10, then there's always going to be some doubts whether you're going to be a really strong candidate that can compete against Trump, because everyone knows how dirty Trump plays, and how he just slanders and lies, against all the other candidates. So I'd say the third debate isn't about trying to prove policies. It's not about those. It's more about trying to prove that you're a strong candidate who can go on a debate stage, and prove your worth and really stand out. So I'd say, for Yang, if there was one time to start going on the offensive, even by just a little bit, I'd say that's probably one debate stage to do that, because after that, you're unlikely to get all those 10 candidates on one stage again, depending on what the fifth debate round will be like. But we know for the fourth, it's likely going to be split into 2 lots again. So we're never going to get that kind of situation for a good amount of time, for at least a couple of months. So it would be quite interesting how Yang kind of stands out. And also, if you stand out at the debates, you gain more support and more donations. Because if we look at how much money Yang has gotten so far, he's gotten $5 million, which is an incredible amount of money, considering the last quarter he only got 2.8 million, and within just a couple of months he's gotten $5 million, which he's done really well. I think he's on track to do 6 million, 7 million, even 8 million if he does really well on the debate stage. So, fingers crossed that he performs well. He's got a strategy in mind. And if anything, also those headlines that come out afterwards, because that second round debate, Andrew Yang did really well, especially at the end when he's like, we're all just candidates with makeup on our faces, trying to do a reality TV show, and that's why we elected a reality TV show star, because that's kind of how we're looking at this. We're all looking at this like entertainment. So in terms of that, if he's able to come out with something just as good as that, and get some really good headlines the next day, the next week, that's going to be that's the kind of exposure and advertising, that you don't have to pay for, but it kind of just generates so much more exposure that you get the support. So Andrew Yang cannot play it too peaceful. He cannot just stand there and go, I'm just going to answer the questions in normal detail. He has to kind of bring everyone else into it, and kind of, in a way, reveal more truth to the facts. Because when Andrew Yang said, everyone's just treating this like a reality TV show, it kind of just brought this realization to everyone, which was in a way quite powerful. So if he can do it again, I imagine it's going to do wonders for his campaign. And if he can go on offensive and really pick, holes in other candidates, I think that's when he becomes a stronger candidate, and he proves that to other people that he's a candidate that can go against Trump. Because right now, we all know Yang seems, he's kind of like the nice guy. We know he's very capable, he knows his details and everything, and he talks really well, but everyone's kind of viewing, is he a tough enough candidate to go after other people? And the thing is, he hasn't gone after many people right now, and if you are going to do well against Trump, you have to be really aggressive and ferocious in a way. So I think everyone's going to be watching that on the third debate, because third debate, it's not about policies anymore. It's about personalities, who's able to speak well, counter each other, and really land those blows that really matter. So it'll be quite an interesting debate. Thank you for listening, and hopefully I'll try to get a video, get a talk in before the debate next week. I imagine there's going to be so much more interesting headlines that will be coming up soon. Until next time.